Hey guys, good Thursday evening to you here on Midnight Movie Talk with me, Eric Weber, as we celebrate the debut of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I just like to call it Doctor Strange 2. It's a lot easier. It rolls off the tongue easier. As we get into this, I want to share something with you. Tonight, I went to see the film again at Burbank 16 down the street, the number one AMC theater in the universe, literally the number one theater complex for AMC across the country. It goes back and forth between Burbank and New York. And I'll tell you right now, based on what I'm seeing, it is going to be Burbank this weekend because there are a ton of people there tonight for this film. These are events. You guys know that. I mean, look at this kid that I spotted outside. So he's full on cosplay here. And he was super bummed because he's waiting for the movie to start. And I saw his parents, and they're just like, we got here too early. And you can see right now, he's at this point, he's like, okay, I've waited, and now it's time to show me Doctor Strange 2. But this is the kind of spirit that you have to love. I saw someone in a Spider-Man suit. I saw different people wearing all kinds of crazy cosplay things and lots of Marvel swag. And that's why Marvel films matter. You can say whatever you want about a Marvel film, but at the end of the day, you have to realize that the world revolves around Marvel films. That's just the reality of the situation. And yes, there's a tweet going around today saying this is what Martin Scorsese was complaining about, the fact that it overshadows all of cinema. Well, we've had plenty of films over the past several weeks that were not Marvel and did very well, including Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is past 35 million domestic, which is a huge number for A24 to be doing. So I think cinema, the state of cinema is strong. So let's not get lost in the Marvel sucks, universe. That is not where we want to be. You got to understand, these are the films that keep AMC, Regal, Cinemark going. So we need Marvel films. Unfortunately, and we're going to talk about it here tonight with your comments, I really want to get your thoughts on this film. This is not the best MCU film. Okay, as I mentioned earlier this week when I did my countdown of the top MCU films, let me pull that up off of Twitter right now too. When I look at this film and I try to put it into the past 2 years of MCU and DCEU properties, I ended up with this thing at number 7. That is not high. Okay, that is just above Eternals, but below Black Widow for me. And as I sat through Doctor Strange 2 again tonight, the reason I have that at the spot that it is when you look at the whole, and we're just going to talk about Black Widow and we're going to talk about Doctor Strange 2. Black Widow has more than its fair share of problems. I will give you that. But one thing you must concede to me when we discuss the film Black Widow is the beginning of the film rocks. Okay, that first scene, the opening scene of Black Widow really sets the table, and then it, drags. But for that fine, whatever that is, 7 minutes, probably less. It feels like it's more, but you know how these things like 3 minutes feels like 7. It's a really strong opening scene. And the young actress who plays Scarlett Johansson is really, what a performance for just that tight little role she had. That film kicks off in such a way with just an absolute rocket. It shoots into orbit. Doctor Strange 2, and this is what we're going to talk about tonight. I want to get your reaction to it, having watched it a second time. The opening scene, the dream sequence, isn't nearly as strong as Black Widow 2. Here's the thing about Doctor Strange 2, and again, when I look at it and I'm evaluating what works and what doesn't, there's a number of things that don't. I think when I watch it for a second time, another thing that really bugged me, and the first time around, I was just kind of trying to figure out what the hell they're trying to do with this film, is what they did with Wanda, right? What did they do with Scarlet Witch? They go from WandaVision, wrap it up, give her a nice tight conclusion to that, and then all of a sudden let's flip her just like that. I think that's a mistake, okay? When you watch the film for a second time, it feels that way too. There's also something oddly, well, first of all, I've said before, Elizabeth Olsen is stunning, okay? Not just on screen, in person. I've seen her. She is literally jaw-dropping gorgeous. And when you have that issue, it's hard when you watch her try to play bad, although she's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying she's not good in this film. I think she's the best part of the film. It's still, there's a measure of, I don't know if I believe quite the level of evilness that Scarlet Witch is needed to require to do what she does. And it's not really about Elizabeth Olsen. It's about just, I think, the character. For something just doesn't feel right about her suddenly turning to the dark side to have her fake children in the other universe. Now that you guys have seen the film, we can drill down on exactly what happens in the film. It just doesn't, the stakes aren't there. I think that is the number one issue with this film. The stakes of the film are not strong enough. And think about that for a minute. When you say the stakes of a film are not strong enough, we have a problem. Okay. We have a major, massive problem when your film has issues with stakes. And we're not talking about steaks that you buy at Ralph's or Kroger, wherever you are. We're talking about stakes, emotional stakes, and the stake of the actual film and what we're trying to accomplish as a story writing arc. And I think that that's a real problem with this film. The other thing that when you watch this film for the second time, you really see where there are different, it feels like there's different directors, doesn't it? At times you see Sam Raimi. At other times you see the reshoots and they don't look like Sam Raimi. You know, when they get through the first multiverse, the really good scene where they fly through all the multiverses, right? And they go through the paint and the cartoon and all that. That's a cool scene. When they get to the other side of that, it looks like that's a reshoot. When they land on the roof, okay, in the stop is green and go is red universe, it looks like that's a reshoot. That looks like a different director to me. The way it's shot, the way it moves. It's very strange. It's almost like that was tacked in or pushed, you know, let's reassemble this and put this scene here, and that's one of the reshoots. When you watch for reshoots, you're always looking at hair, right? You're always looking at, for America, the actress who plays America. In one part, her hair is different than it is from the rest of the movie. If that's the case, it's probably because she got a haircut between the time they actually finished the original shooting and then they did the reshoot. Because the reshoot's months later, and you could change your hair. You could put on weight. You could do anything. So you're going to look different, right? I'm not going to look the same in 3 months as I do tonight. I think that this film, you see some of the reshoots for sure. And overall, this film has the high point of the Illuminati. There is zero question that is the moment. I'm going to get into it. We're gonna do this. I didn't want to, but I'm gonna warn you. We are going to do some spoilers. The high point of this movie is, and the crowd cheered when he came on, Reed Richards. That is the absolute biggest moment in the film. And it's not really, it's an emotional moment, but it's more of a reaction moment to who is playing Reed Richards. I'll hold that. I'll keep that away. I'll just say Reed Richards. That's not an emotional moment. It's more of like, oh my God, look who's here. But then the emotion isn't there. And I think that's the problem with the film. The emotion just isn't there ever. Even when characters die, you know that they're coming back. You know that it's a multiverse. You know that they can be resurrected. When the stakes aren't real, when someone dies and you know that they didn't really die, remember Batman, Superman, Justice League? It really removes everything from the feel. The feel has to be that it's real. The stakes are real. And if something happens here that's bad, it's going to continue on. Not we can just go back in and fix it, which obviously Endgame and Infinity War, we know that's a central component of that film. That said, that film works. That film is the best MCU film, Endgame and Infinity War, the combination of those two. There's no combination. There's not even a competition when you talk about the best CBM for me. It's Endgame. But I really want to get your thoughts on this film because overall, having watched it a second time, I have very similar feeling to what I had on Monday night when I saw it. It's just a flat feeling. It's not as energized and energetic as I want to be. That said, I hope it does well. I really hope this film gets to 200 million. I think we're going to have a problem with word of mouth. Word of mouth will not be as strong for this film as No Way Home. Nowhere near it. No Way Home did business multiple times opening weekend. You had people go to see it on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, at least twice. I saw it, I think, Thursday and Sunday. And I'd already seen it the first Monday. before it came out. So I saw it 3 times in a week. This film, I struggled to get through a second time, and I don't want to see it a third time. I think a lot of people will see it once and be done. That is a problem for box office over the not just this weekend, but that speaks to next weekend and the following weekend. You have to have people that keep coming back to see your film. That's repeat business, and you need that to generate these massive numbers like No Way Home had, where you're sitting at 1.8 billion worldwide. This film might not make it to a billion. I think it opens close to 200. I think because of word of mouth, I'm going to bring it down. I had it at 222. Let's take that down to say 195. If it gets above that, that's a fantastic number. Tonight, people are out. You're going to see a very solid Thursday night opening. That is for sure. Let's get to comments because I want to get, this is why I want to do this tonight, is really about you guys and what you have to say about the film. So let's get to comment time. And we do it now. We start with, let's see who we have. We have cell phone. Hello. Good evening, sir or madam. Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness is solid. Not as bad as people say. Thing is, people overhyped with theories. General audience will do great. Sam Raimi does everything, everywhere, all at once things. Yes, but do you not see in this film? It's solid. It's fine. I'm not saying it's a bad film. It's not as bad as people say. I'll agree with you on that without question. But. I also say that you see Sam Raimi in spots and not in others. And also, I still think that the multiverse is done much better, obviously, in Spider-Verse and obviously in No Way Home. Stronger multiverse usage in those films. I expected more out to the multiverse in this film. I didn't get it. I think we need to put the multiverse away for a little bit until we get Spider-Verse, which is pushed back until next year. I think we need to have a little break. Watching the Thor Love and Thunder trailer tonight, huge pop for that. People are very excited for that. I hope that's the film that really brings MCU, Marvel MCU, Disney MCU back to the forefront, because we know that Eternals and now this are just okay. They're not great films. The great film that we just got was No Way Home, and that's Sony. So we need to get the Disney Marvel back on track with Thor Love and Thunder. The stakes were high, but it feels like they didn't really get the severity of the stakes across the universe. Yes, there's that too. And that's the problem with the multiverse. There's all the different multiverses. So your head starts to kind of explode when they get into the info dumps. Lots of info dumps. You know, the book, what is it again? The evil book. You guys help me. It's such a lame name for the evil book. That thing. That isn't even, that feels like it's really stretching what I really need to know. It's too much. Sometimes films work best when they're just narrowed down and really just whittled down to very simple constructs. And I understand MCU is going to give you more mythology than you probably want. And for some of you that really works. But I'm saying for someone who's not as dialed in, has not watched all the MCU shows, then it's an issue. And that's where we get to also with repeat business, and we get to just a crowd in general coming to see your movie. Let's see. Let's get to Aaliyah. Give me 1 second, Aaliyah. Let me pop you up. Aaliyah, hello. Good evening to you. Audience verification score is 89% right now. Cinema score probably a B plus or A minus. What I thought A minus at the high end. B plus is where I'd probably come down on it. Have not seen it yet. Okay with spoilers. I'm with Wanda's Fate. If cinema score is low, that is why. Well, again, whoever the fate is, whatever the fate of these characters are, and I don't need to go too far into that. I just talked about Reed Richards, is that if you can reverse the fate by going back in and doing a spell or bringing someone else through a multiverse, another portal, then are the stakes real? That's the issue we have. And that's why we can never have RDJ walking back as Iron Man, because that just eliminates and nullifies everything that happened in Endgame. And that would be a terrible travesty of justice to see that film destroyed by bringing him back, as much as they probably want to have him back because they need him. Can you imagine having an Iron Man 4? That movie, we talk about a $200 and $300 million opening. No Way Home was at what, 270? This thing would be 300 with Iron Man 4. Doctor Strange, yes, we'll just call it MOM. Felt more like a Disney Plus episode. I agree 100% than a blockbuster film. I thought it was okay, but lacked gravitas. That's what we're talking about, Julian, is that's the stakes, the gravitas, the weight, the emotional gravity of the situation isn't there, even though things happen that should elicit emotion, like major emotion. It doesn't. And that speaks to the fact there were reshoots, and also just, I think, a disjointed script. There's a lot of things that are just not dialed in and perfectly executed like we saw in Endgame or No Way Home. These are very well written films, and this is not that. This is, again, mid tier Marvel. I have it again ranked right with Black Widow. That's like a 7.5, and I think some people are way lower than that. I think that's actually an okay grade. It's a fair grade. Julian saying that's a good description. Yeah, good, exactly, Alex. I agree. It does feel at times, for sure. It looks like a Disney Plus show, doesn't it? Let's go back to cell phone. The thing is, Marvel works as a series. They cannot overblow the load before the great Avengers type Secret Wars. Can't do Avengers Endgame epic every time. It gets tired. I know. I'm not saying I want Endgame every time or No Way Home every time, but you still have to construct a film that works within itself, and you don't need to have other films come in to save it. And I think in this case, if you didn't have WandaVision, that whole part of the thing is such a major component to this film. I feel like this is the first time we really jammed Disney Plus into the MCU, cinematic MCU. And they're at the point where they kind of have to. They're kind of running out of stuff. And that's why Thor Love and Thunder, for me, is the film you have to look at. You have to target and say, this better be right. If this film is nailed like I hope it is, I think that Taika has had time to work on it. You've got obviously the Guardians, you've got Thor, you've got major characters in that film. That is going to be a film that is bigger than this film. I think initially we thought that it was going to be this film. It was going to be Doctor Strange 2. Now, after seeing Doctor Strange 2 and knowing what we know about Thor Love and Thunder, Christian Bale, the trailer, what we're seeing, that is going to be Disney, Marvel, MCU's savior. And I know they don't, yeah, like they're really struggling. They're going to get almost to 200 million, maybe more if they're lucky this weekend. They're not struggling. I'm saying creatively, cinematically, creatively, from a theatrical, the films in theaters right now for the MCU between Eternals and now Doctor Strange 2 are of a lower, they're just not as good. Okay, they're not as great as they should be. That's why Thor, Love and Thunder rides in to save the day. We hope. I think certainly Kevin Feige's got to get it right. And this cinema score is going to tell you how people think about it. I really think it's going to be a B plus, A minus at best, which you really want an A. You have to be at an A. So anything below that's bad. B plus is really bad for this film if it gets there. We'll have that tomorrow night, by the way. Is it me or the visual effects on the MCU films getting bad? No, Alex, not at all. In fact, the visual effects in the first scene of this, in the dream sequence, really horrible. I mean, when the creature's like cage, right? So Doctor Strange does his thing, and he's got the creature inside of the spell, and then it starts to break out. I literally watch when he's breaking out. Holy crap. She is America. The actress who plays America is on a green screen. So is he. And the effect looks like crap. And you're looking at this going, this is not good visual effects. This reminds me a little bit of The Adam Project. If you guys saw that, the Netflix movie, as much as I love Ryan Reynolds in that, and I think the film works emotionally, the visual effects in that film are bad. Okay, they are just subpar. They're average at best. And that's not going to cut it on a theatrical film. And I understand that's not really theatrical, but either way, that's a $180 million film, I believe, for Netflix. This is obviously whatever the budget on this, it's got to be well over 150. To get the visual effects you see in this film, not that great. It's just not, and you need better. The first octopus cyclops thing, whatever, was early looked on so fake. Yeah, didn't it? And didn't that remind you the octopus? Cyclops, octopus is perfect. Exactly what it was. Didn't that remind you of Suicide Squad at the end? But the Suicide Squad was so much better. That the creature battle at the end of that was way better. And the effects in that film, so far superior. Go watch the Suicide Squad, the end. If you haven't seen it, you probably have. Go back and watch that and then look at the two scenes. Look at Octopus Cyclops and then look at Beast from Starfish Beast, whatever that thing was called, from Suicide Squad, and you're going to say that the latter, Suicide Squad, wipes that out. It's not even close. Not just in the effects, but also the overall impact of the film. And I think that speaks to James Gunn. James Gunn is a hell of a filmmaker. I don't think the Suicide Squad is his best film by any means, but he still is a very talented filmmaker. Yeah, visual effects sometimes looks even better, right? When you go back, I don't know what's going on. It almost feels like the visual effects getting bad and the cartoony and campy art direction. Yeah, and I think that's a good point. Is that you have Villeneuve working in the space of Dune, which is very almost grounded visual effects, right? They feel like they're tangible. Even if they're not, you feel like you can walk into them. This stuff looks like a video game. And that is, I think, that speaks. Well, the multiverse has got to be a pain in the ass to render. Can you imagine coming up with all that scene? One of the best scenes is when they're going through all the multiverses. That's an unbelievably cool scene, but too bad it's too short. Same with Illuminati. They're there and then they're gone, and then the film goes. So it goes up and then Illuminati, goodbye. And then the film goes off. So it's just unfortunate. It could have been a better film. I think they know it too. And I don't like the script. I think the initial script was just not the right one to go with. There has to be a better script to work with here with Doctor Strange and Wanda, and maybe reverse it. Have Wanda work with Doctor Strange against the evil Doctor Strange, not have an evil Wanda. I don't know. There's something better. You guys can come up with it too. Trust me, it's not that hard. Some of these things you think they're like impossible, and you watch the script, you're like, someone got paid to write this? No way. The movie's doing well overseas. 1 billion seems likely. AJ here tonight, 400 million global. Even with Bad Legs, crawl to 1 billion. I think it's close to a billion. I think that's the number we all expect. The Batman is at 750. And we thought that was a little under because that didn't have the kids in play. Families were out. I understand this is Sam Raimi and there's elements of horror. It's not a horror film. Please don't tell me that Doctor Strange 2 is a horror film. That's a horrendously bad take. But yes, Sam Raimi, I understand, is a horror filmmaker. So there are elements of that you see, and certainly there's a lot of kills in this film. But again, nothing that I think kids could sit through it. Is it intense? Yeah. Little kids shouldn't see it, but there's going to be parents who take their kids to see it, is what I'm getting at. Okay. So because of that, this number is going to be higher than the Batman it opened at, what was that? 150 ish. And then it got to 750 worldwide. This is going to be a billion. You're close to it. It's going to get over 750 because you get families. And but don't forget, China is in lockdown, or at least a good portion of lockdown. Therefore, that money is less. Also, Russia's out because of what's happening with Ukraine, and we know that they're not going to send movies over to Russia. That is a problem. That's money that they're losing. Okay, I'm just talking about it from a filmmaker. I'm not talking about the Russian situation. Please, we're not doing that. We're talking about the fact that it's not there as a market. That's it. You're right about the cameos. Great to see them, but you know at least one of them are coming back. Of course they are. That's the thing. That's what we talked about, the stakes. When what happens to Illuminati happens, you go, oh, wow. But then you realize that they're not gone. They're coming back. That's the stakes. So when you kill somebody, it has to matter. I watch the show Ozark. I don't know if you guys watch a lot of TV shows. I don't. I watch Ozark, which is a great show with Jason Bateman, Laura Linney, and so many great performances in that. Julia Garner. I mean, but the thing about that show, Ozark, when someone dies, they don't come back later. I know it's drama. I know it's not like a CBM. I get it. My point is the stakes are real. When a character dies, they're gone. So when you kill a bunch of characters in this film and they're coming back through a portal or another multiverse or some kind of magical contraption, then what's the point? The stakes aren't real. The stakes have to matter. Like Iron Man. When he dies, you probably cried. I think I did. I can't remember. It's been a while. But I was close. I felt moved. I know that. I felt emotionally moved because we knew he was dead. And they're not going to bring him back. Again, that would be the worst move that Marvel ever made, to bring back Iron Man. As much as you want it, no way. Can't do it because it ruins the entire film. Because the stakes are gone. That's what we're saying about this. Kill characters, they come back. So then what's the point? I had a great time watching the movie. Really enjoyed it. AJ, good. I mean, listen, it's not. I said it's not a bad movie. It's just not as great as I wanted it to be, and I really wanted it to be good. I did see the Avatar Way of Water teaser trailer. I was okay with it. Again, it's all CGI. We know that it's Avatar, but the point is, it's starting to look like a video game to me, like the first did. I loved at points of Avatar, the 3D of Avatar, but I didn't. When I think about Avatar, it's not one of my favorite movies of all time. So when I watch Way of Water, I say, okay, I'm fine. I'll check it out. I'm sure, just like the rest of you will. But again, the audience popped for it. That's good. Top Gun Maverick, they really popped. Paramount put this, basically showed us a scene, one of the training scenes from Top Gun Maverick tonight, and they put it in front of the film as part of the trailers. And what a huge success! The crowd was totally into it. You get everybody into, and you have the interest of a massive, wide audience of people that maybe wouldn't go see Top Gun Maverick. That's why trailers matter, and especially in back to Avatar, same thing. When the trailer's on, everyone's like, "Woo, yeah, this is good. I can't wait." The reactions there, and it's very important to get your film in front of a Marvel film, because you've got all those eyes, those captive eyes that aren't at the movie theater every single day like the rest of us. I'm very curious if anyone saw this in 3D. Yeah, Alex, did anyone see it in 3D? I did not see it in 3D. I personally don't know if I want to. I saw it second time straight up in Dolby this time. Last time was a regular, although it was a giant screen. It was not IMAX. It was not Dolby. This time I saw it in Dolby. Better experience. Dolby Burbank is the best screen in LA. If you can get out here and you want to see a movie in really the optimal conditions, in not just it's a gigantic screen, it's an IMAX size screen, and then you have the Dolby sound system in there, Dolby Cinema, best screen in LA is that. It's better than the IMAX, no question about it. A 2-hour runtime was good. AJ, yes, but here's the thing. I'm with you. Didn't it feel like longer than 2 hours? If you've seen it, tell me it didn't feel like it was 220. It feels longer than it is at 207 or 2 whatever. But that speaks to pacing. If the pacing isn't dialed in, isn't perfectly calibrated, then it's going to feel longer than its runtime. So there are films I've been through, like Dune, that's 230 through 35, and it did not feel like it dragged. Didn't feel like it was as long as it was. This is a film that feels longer than 2 hours to me. So that's an issue. That's pacing. The reason I ask is the first one was so great in 3D. This one seems like potentially worth seeing in 3D. You're talking about Avatar? Okay, sorry if we're going back and forth, but yeah, that's right. Yeah, fine. I know Strange is in 3D. Avatar, you need to see in 3D. I mean, he shoots it in 3D. He absolutely, when you have a filmmaker that's actually filming in 3D or creating a film primarily for 3D viewing, then the difference between that and when they add it in post is night and day. You go back and look at The Great Gatsby, go back and look at Prometheus, Dread. These are films that came out in 2011, 12, 13. That was when 3D had that resurgence, and those films were shot in 3D. Ridley Scott shot Prometheus with 3D cameras. And when you watch that film, and I wish you all had a chance to see that film in 3D, you will see why 3D was so huge, because in that time it started to have that resurgence, because when you watch that film, it adds literally the dimension where you are in the screen because of the 3D shot organically with those cameras makes the difference of that versus put in post. When the film is posted to 3D, it looks flat, it looks bad. Last one I saw was Solo. I did see No Way Home in 3D. The 3D is not nearly as good. It's almost muddy. When you watch Great Gatsby, Prometheus, Dread, God, Dread was so good. Oh my God, Dread. In 3D, the hypodermic needles are flying around at your face, and it's like they're literally there. It's part of the experience. And I wish that if we get 3D to come back with this Avatar Way of Water, and we get more 3D films, we get filmmakers shooting these things. Go watch Great Gatsby in 3D. That's why I'm excited to see Elvis. Great Gatsby in 3D is one of my favorite experiences watching a film. Not because of the film, the experience of the film in a cinema in the third dimension, adding that unbelievably and organic too. Just 2 movies have gotten lower than A- in the MCU. Feels like we should manage to get A-. The movie does have crowd-pleasing moments. B+ be a disaster. I'm glad, AJ, that you understand how CinemaScore works. Some people do not know how CinemaScore works. They say CinemaScore of B+ is good. No. A is the best, obviously. A+ is the best, but A+ is very hard. A is where you want to be. Anything that falls off of that is bad. A- is worse, obviously. B+ is as low as you want to go for CinemaScore. So B+ is not good. You want to see it at least at an A, preferably A+, but you definitely don't even want an A-. So if it's at A-, that's a problem. B+ is a major issue, and that speaks to word of mouth. People coming out and saying, you have to go see this film, which I don't know if people are going to do for this film. I'm not doing it. Some of you sound like you liked it, but you're not coming out going, oh my God, No Way Home, Endgame. Oh, you got to go see this movie. That's not what you're getting. So I think that's the issue. Thor 4 is going to be big. People underestimate how big the effect Ragnarok will have in a positive way. Well, yes, but I think the reason it's going to be bigger, AJ, is that you're bringing finally Thor, a major character, not Doctor. I still think, okay, can we vote on this? Bigger character, Thor or Doctor Strange? Just if you had to pay to see one character, would you watch Doctor Strange or would you watch Thor? For me, I'm going to say Thor. I think Thor's obviously has more humor. I actually think I talked about this the other night. Benedict Cumberbatch, who I really love as an actor, okay? I'm not going to tell you that I think he's a bad actor, but I am going to say this. There are times that I watch Benedict Cumberbatch in this film and other films where I say, that was the best take. Okay. It feels like a line reading at times. Am I alone? Am I alone thinking that Benedict Cumberbatch sometimes says the way he delivers things sometimes, he doesn't feel like he's fully invested in that moment in a way that some actors really just have no issue with. At sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, I'm telling you, you've seen it. There's times when Benedict Cumberbatch does something and you go, I don't know. I don't know if that was the best take, but it's Benedict Cumberbatch, so we just assume he's good. That's not necessarily the case. Go watch The Mauritanian. I've said that none of you saw The Mauritanian. Go watch The Mauritanian, and then you tell me that Benedict Cumberbatch was a great performance in that film. Tell me how good he was. You will not say that's a good performance. I promise you. Just watch watch the trailer. That might save you the time. Do not go watch all of The Mauritanian. It is not a good film. The film cost $200 million. There it is. Thank you, Anish Raj. Yeah, it's 150 plus. I figured 200, somewhere in there. They have the money. They can print money. Marvel, Disney. Here you go. Let's make another one. Irony. I've heard WandaVision fans that have seen Doctor Strange 2 say it feels as though the movie retconned the show. Raimi admitted he did not watch it. Seems Michael Waldron disregarded it. Yes, Aaliyah. I had a discussion tonight with one of my buddies, Byron, and he's a very smart kid, great screenwriter, and he said exactly what you just said right here. Exactly, is that Waldron disregarded what happened in WandaVision, and really for what that's a major issue. Again, we talk about that's the heart of the film. That's the reason this film exists, and then if it doesn't work, that's a major problem because that's the whole film. It's the whole film. Suicide Squad, visual effects, incredible. Agreed. AJ, absolutely. I mean, they were really, that's why it was in the mix for awards, because it was that good. Warner Brothers really has dialed in visual effects. I mean, even you look at, obviously, Justice League. You're looking at, again, same thing. Zack Snyder's Justice League has that. Those films, Batman doesn't have as much visual effects. Trust me, there's visual effects in Batman. Every film has them. But what you're looking for from me, from Marvel, I'm not seeing it as much as I saw when I watched Suicide Squad. And that was a ton of visual effects in that film. It felt more grounded, didn't it? Like the star creature. He really felt like it was real. This octopus looks like it was generated with a computer. Cyclops octopus looks like a video game. Even though I don't think Marvel should allow directors more creative control, I go back. I think I missed the first part of that. But listen, Marvel does not give directors complete creative control. We know that. I mean, when you go back and watch Eternals, you see that Chloe did not get the movie she totally wanted to do. When you look here at this film, I don't think you see the full Sam Raimi. You see you see Sam Raimi, but you don't see full Sam Raimi, full on. And I think you're not going to see that. From Marvel, you're not going to get that. Marvel's not going to give you complete creative control. Kevin Feige's that guy. It's not, that's who has creative control here, not the director. Director has some say for sure, but ultimately you're going to have to cede your power to the bosses at Marvel and the bosses at Disney. And that's why if I'm a director who's up and coming and I want to be, want to do my own thing, I'm not going to go work for Marvel. I mean, for the paycheck, but I wouldn't work for them for creative control and being able to do that. They're not going to allow you to do that, unfortunately. for good and bad. I mean, for sometimes it's probably saved some projects, but for others, I think that it would have been a better. I think if Eternals would have been given the full Chloe Zhao, that would have been a better film, but it wasn't. It was given a semi. Same with Sam Raimi here tonight. Semi Sam Raimi, semi Chloe. Spoiler alert. Sorry, folks. How close do you think they have a mutant in the MCU? Who knows? I mean, that's all this. Hey, listen, we're already doing spoilers, so we can throw everything out there, Nathan. I have no problem with that. Doctor Strange 2 box office prediction. Iron Man, I've got this for you. I've got 200. I had it at 222. After seeing the film on Monday, that was on Sunday night. I said 222. Saw it Monday, and I'm going to bring that number down to closer to 2. And if it goes under 2, I won't be surprised because word of mouth is not going to be as strong. Cinema Score will tell us tomorrow what the word of mouth is, but I can tell you I don't really need to see the Cinema Score. I know that word of mouth will not be as strong for this film as No Way Home. Therefore, 260s, there's no chance. We knew it wasn't getting to that, but I think even 220 is too high. I think you're looking at 200 or under. 200 or under, and we'll see. It's really going to depend on repeat viewings this weekend. Repeat viewings. You have to have repeat viewings. So people have to see it tonight and also Saturday. Tonight, Sunday. I'm just telling you, I don't think people are going to do that as much. So we got Doctor Strange 2 not releasing in China, Russia, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and other countries in the Middle East because we know some of the content. Also because of what's happening across geopolitical obviously what's happening. We know what's happening in China. They're in semi-lockdown. We know what's happening in Russia because of what's happening with Ukraine. So they're not going to send films there. So some of these places are not going to show it. So you're going to dent your box office. But I still think we get close to $1 billion. The key is, will we get over $1 billion? That's the question. We're going to find out. We're going to know after this first weekend, and then the Cinema Score, and then obviously next weekend hold. It's going to take some time, but we're going to see. We need to have if it goes over 200 right here, that's going to be a great start. What if this thing opens at like 180? That's not going to be good. That's under where it really should be, given we have not had a major film in cinemas since No Way Home. We have not had anything. We had Uncharted that did well. We obviously had, even Morbius did okay. Not great, trust me, but okay. And then you had Scream did well. You had Lost City. But we have not had a gigantic film. We haven't had a $100 million opening, since No Way Home, 260. So that's when I always tell you on box office, you need to have nothing in front of you, like no major hit. There hasn't been a major hit. That means Doctor Strange was right. This is the right weekend. It should pop. If it doesn't pop, it's because the word of mouth isn't there. Benjamin enjoyed the movie, but I really don't understand how these $200 million plus movies get mediocre scripts. I could talk about this all night, couldn't we? It's arguably the most important part to be done and polished well before production. So many times I watch a film and you go, that's what you greenlit? You went with that script? I mean, when you read, if I've read this script, I'd say this is not good enough. This is not a good enough script. But I don't know if it's up against production dates or whatever. They're like, we'll just go with what we have and we'll rewrite it. There's been plenty of stories of films that were literally written on the set, right? They had a bare bones idea and then they kind of just rewrote half of it as they continue to go and shoot every day. Here's a new page. Here's this. Here's this. I hope that's not what happened here, but I agree. The script is not great. I mean, it's not the worst script ever written, but it's also not the best by a long shot. And when I rank the top 10 MCU, DCU films for the past 2 years, and I have this at number 7, that's bad. I mean, because this was not, obviously the top's great. The top is great with the Batman and No Way Home. But below that, you should be above Shang-Chi. And for me, this is below Shang-Chi. I had less fun watching this film than I did watching Shang-Chi. So there's that, which I never believe I would say. And even Black Widow, because of Florence Pugh and David Harbour for me, and that opening scene. There's a lot of things there's issues with both films, but again, if I had to choose one, I would pick Black Widow. I'm not in the industry. I can't really judge the process. I can tell you this, that people get comfortable with certain writers, okay? So if Marvel's comfortable with writer X, they're probably going to put them on the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. My question is identify somebody who brings you something that's edgy, that clicks all the boxes, hits everything. This is the people you want to find, those people. And if it means finding somebody that has never written a major script before, go for it. If the script's good, there are a lot of people who are talented out there that will never get a shot because there's people who've been working forever and they're like, oh, well, Jim's great. Let's just bring Jim in. Well, maybe Jim's not the best. Maybe there's this kid over here who's better. Yeah, it's one of the reasons I like this small little anime film called Pompo the Cinephile. It really speaks to that. The fact that talent can be found anywhere, and not just some talent, like award winning talent. That's a cool little film, especially if you want to know about the industry. Go watch Pompo the Cinephile. It'll probably be on, it's G Kids. It was in theaters for like a week. I doubt you can find it now. It'll probably be on streaming soon. But it speaks to what I just talked about. Find talent that is from nowhere. Who says that all the talent is already out there? You have to pick from these five writers. Maybe there's a hell of a great writer who's in Des Moines, Iowa, and he sends you a spec script. The hard part is getting people to look at it. I mean, I got to be honest with you. That's the hard part. A lot of times they won't even look at it without an agent. So it's very hard. This town is brutal. I mean, I know this town inside and out. This is not an easy town. And people think you just come out here and shit happens, right? You come out here and boom, you're a star. No, doesn't work like that. Boom, you're a major screenwriter. No, these people pay their price. They pay their dues over many, 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 many years. Look at a lot of actors that you see that show up in movies. You're like, oh, he came out of nowhere. Go back and look at their IMDb page. They were extras. Then they did small roles. Then they up. That's how this thing works. You don't just come right in and they give it to you. So that's the hard part too. There's talent out there, but getting people to take notice of it is an issue. But again, I get back to look for talent. Keep looking for talent always. If I'm a head of a studio, I'm always looking for new talent, and I'm always watching films going, who's a new director that really excites me? For me, the Safdie brothers. When I saw Good Time, I'd say hire those guys. I talked to the Safdie brothers. They would never do it. They never do a MCU or DCU film. They said they wanted to do their own thing. But at least when you watch the film, I'd say you need to hire those guys because they have talent. You have to be very good at spotting talent. And that's a major part of this business. If RDJ comes back to Marvel, he'll be an AI computer or as a variant. Let's just have him not come back at all. Aaliyah, let's just not bring him back. I do not want, as much as I personally want him back, I don't want to see it come back because it'll undo all of Endgame if all of a sudden Iron Man's back. It's not going to work. Leave it alone. He died. I agree with the comments about the visuals of Avatar. I wasn't super impressed. I had read so much about them. I don't see a major leap the first second. I agree with all of that. It looks like a video game to me. I think, again, I prefer my effects to look more grounded like Dune. Dune and what Denis did in that film, the effects look, you can step into the spaceship, right? You know, when you watch this or you watch Avatar, you're like, I know I'm watching someone else's, computer world. It's not a tangible thing. And for me, those are the visual effects that I love the most. And even the Suicide Squad, the visual effects are so good. I know what is happening with visual effects. They are better than ever. The thing is, cinematography too. In Doctor Strange 2, color correction and cinematography were not helping. The creature Iris was not as real as Starro. Starro, thank you. Starro kicked ass. This creature, generic octopus cyclops thing, is not. And the cinematography in this film is, at times you see Sam Raimi, other times you see very flat, generic cinematography. Color correction, again, same thing. The crispness of picture is at times here, and then other times it's not, which again speaks to color correction, speaks to a lot of the post stuff. Again, I just think this film overall is just not great. It is a C plus. Okay, at times it creeps into the B plus range. I don't think it ever gets to the A minus range. Not on my scale. I mean, the Illuminati scene is closer. It's like a B plus. I don't even think it's an A minus. That's weird, right? The highs here. A lot of times when I watch a film, you say how high are the highs and how low are the lows. So in this case, we have the highs that aren't that high, and then you have the lows which really aren't that low. So you end up in the middle. Right? So most of this middle, like I said, when I came out, my initial reaction tweet was, this is a rides the middle film. Largely lives here. You really want it to live over here on the insane, great upper scale, not on the low end, but you're here in the middle. Nothing's too low, nothing's too high here. That's Doctor Strange 2. Okay, they're going back and forth. I feel like there's a reliance on creating complete environments with the visual effects. That's what's hurting the overall quality because it takes all the time. Yeah, versus like having it some visual, some actual sets, which I feel like Thor feels a little bit more tangible to me. We'll see what happens with that, but at least the visual effects look better. We're gonna find out here in a month. Well, actually, 2 months? 2 months. Art direction needs a ton of planning at times. Yeah, Villeneuve spent time designing the creature. Starro too. Yeah. So I mean, art direction is a big part. Whenever we talk about art direction, you're talking about, at the end of the day, I run an award site, Awards Ace. You're talking about production design. Production design is literally what it says. Production design, world building. So the world building is so great in Dune. That's why it won. Okay, whenever you have world building that is done, it usually involves something in the future or something in the past. If you have to recreate a time era, right, a bygone era, such as Nightmare Alley, you're looking at production design of creating a 1930s world. That's not easy. Okay. Same with creating Dune, a futuristic film. You have two different extremes, right? You have setting in the past and the future. That's where production design almost always comes from, right? It's rarely from present day. One of the rare times that happened was Parasite, and one of the reasons was they built the house. A lot of times that's literally built. If you need to go look and watch that video, is amazing. That is all about world building, which is production design, which is art direction. They're all the same thing. And this film's art direction is flat. Doctor Strange art direction, not going to be nominated for an Oscar. Okay, you guys going back and forth. Yeah, exactly. I think we all agree. Alex, cell phone, and me. We all agree. Let's go to Wasim. Maybe you shouldn't have both films and TV shows interconnected, as not all in your audience will follow one or both. I agree with that 100%. That, I think, was listen, Disney Plus needed content. What's the best content for Disney Plus? Marvel shows, Star Wars shows. Look what they came out with right off the bat. Mandalorian, and then you had obviously everything in the MCU. So once you have Hawkeye, all these shows, Loki, and obviously we just got done with Moon Knight. All these shows, WandaVision, all these shows are, again, perfect for Disney Plus. But for me, you stretch everyone's time. Okay, first of all, because you got to watch the shows. You're stretching. You're asking a lot of your audience when you say you have to watch this TV show in addition to the other movies. That sounds good to you and to a lot of people who are major fans. But if you're not, and you just want to go see a movie, you're going to walk into this film and go, wait, I need to know other stuff. I don't understand. I just want to just come in and see a self-contained story. And that's one of the reasons No Way Home works so well, is that you didn't have to have the TV show, right? It really was just a connection of the cinematic events. And so that's why I think it works better too, is that it doesn't rely on the Disney Plus shows. Multiverse of Madness hits 200 million. Lonely Lizard thinks that, but barely. It'll do an A minus cinema score. Okay, you're on the high end. I plan to see it again tomorrow. Regular 3D Screen X. Wow, you are Lonely Lizard's like hardcore about this. Going to see it 4 times this weekend. I don't think I could do that. The second time in 3-4 days was a little bit much for me. I don't think I'll see it again. That'll be the end of my multiverse experience for a while. Until we get another one. Let's just hope that maybe Thor doesn't revolve on the multiverse as much. Please, let's just have a break from the multiverse. Didn't mind the visual effects, but hated the TV show lighting and shitty wig and beard. Yeah, Betty C was right. The wig, there's a lot of things that are strange when you see that. Listen, I told you about the wigs. When they do reshoots, okay, let's imagine that you're in the show. I'm in the show, and I got my hair like this tonight, right? And then they say, and I get done with the show. And in 3 months, they say, hey, Eric, we need you to go back and shoot this thing that looks like tonight. I'm like, wait a second. I've put on 20 pounds, and now I shave my head. If your head shaved, you got to wear a wig. So that could be some of this. You got to think reshoots mean, why don't you go watch Justice League? Remember the digitized, getting rid of the mustache? Henry Cavill's mustache is eliminated with CGI because they had to go back and reshoot. And he, in his contract for, what was it? Was it Mission Impossible? Said that he has to keep the goatee, the mustache. And because of that, then you had to use the CG to get rid of it. Reshoots are a nightmare. That's probably why he had the crap wig on. It's because before he had his hair mid-length and he shaved it for a role. And they're like, oh God, we got to get the hair back to that length. Give him a wig. These are the things that no one thinks about. Go back and watch. You can always tell a reshoot scene because people look different. They put on weight, even if it's just a little bit. The camera doesn't lie. You could put on 3 pounds. I know that doesn't sound like a lot. 3 pounds. And the camera's like, wait a second. He looks puffier. It doesn't look right. Or imagine if you cut your bangs, if you female, likely you have bangs, and then all of a sudden you don't. You're gonna have to fix these things, and that's why they give you a wig. Shocked Feige, excuse me, and Raimi and Waldron to retcon. Yeah, Aaliyah, right? WandaVision like that. You're going to see the film. You're going to see what we're talking about. It's very disappointing what happened. I don't think it wasn't the right script. Going back to stakes, I feel like the multiverse is cheapened deaths. That's what we've been talking about here, Alex. Trying to stay spoiler free, but the deaths we see don't feel heavy because we know it's a multiverse. And also, the deaths happen so fast. Hey, here are the characters. Oh, they're dead. My God, it was like not even 5 minutes. Okay, they lived 5 minutes, so it's not long enough, and because of that, that lessens the stakes. Again, to have stakes feel real, you have to ground them and you have to make them real in that when someone dies, they don't come back. Okay, again, I watch Ozark. When I watch Ozark and the drug dealer dies, guess what? He's not coming back in the next episode. Maybe in a flashback scene, but he's not coming back to life. We need to do the same thing for CBMs. They're dead, they're dead, gone. No bringing them back. No portals through time to bring people back to life. Respect WB. They gave Todd Phillips and Matt Reeves full creative control. For better or worse, WB gives their directors more creative control than Marvel does. That is the truth. Watch any film, you'll see it. There's no question that WB gave Matt Reeves pretty much the room to operate with whatever he wanted to do with that film. That is Matt Reeves' imprint, directorial imprint all over that film. And then you look at this film, Sam Raimi, and Doctor Strange 2, and you see some Sam Raimi, but you don't see full wattage Sam Raimi because they're not giving you that. Warner Brothers gives you creative control. I've said that over and over. Todd Phillips and Joker. Look at Justice League. Finally, what we got with Zack Snyder. They gave it to him. Granted, it was a process, but they gave it to him. Warner Brothers gives their directors a lot of space to operate in creatively and to call the shots. MCU does not. MCU says, here's your deal. You can do some of this, but at the end of the day, you answer to me, Kevin Feige. You answer to Disney. You do not. Warner Brothers is like, yeah, we have some people here and we'll tell you some ideas, but in general, go do your thing. And that's why I really do respect Warner Brothers. Ultimately, I always will. I love how they operate. And hopefully they'll continue to now that they're Discovery and all that crap. Movie gave you just enough where you didn't have to see the show. Yeah, I'd say, Alex, it was close. It was just enough, but I think it was definitely how about this? Is this fair to say? Doctor Strange 2 was the most required viewing outside of the cinematic MCU. Is that fair? I think that's fair. It is. It was the most. You had to do the most homework outside of the cinematic MCU to get through this film. Not only do we not know if they come back, we don't know if we don't know the characters, so we really don't feel for them. They're only people for Wanda to kill. Agreed on that. One of the reasons Eternals doesn't work as well. These are new characters, so why do we care? The reason Endgame works is because we had 10 years of these characters. Not every character, but 10 years of Iron Man and then the completion. And so you had this build. You got to know these people. That's why episodic television works so well, as you start to care for the characters more because you've invested more time. So when you bring in a character and go, hey, here's Reed Richards, and then, oh, he's dead. You're like, okay, but he's not dead. I mean, Fantastic Four is going to get made at some point. I wish it were Watts, but it sounds like it's not going to be. Whoever makes that film. I also want to say one thing. Let's talk quickly about Josh Trank's Fantastic Four. I do not think that's the worst CBM ever made. I have to go back and watch it. I just remember hearing how terrible that film was, and I saw it a few days after it opened. And I remember sitting through it going, this isn't great. And I clearly see that this was not Josh Trank's film. I mean, you can tell that it was taken away from him. But that said, it's still not the worst CBM. The worst CBM, I mean, you know what I'm going to say. As for the overall, what it should have been versus what it is, it's Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 is the most disappointing CBM. What they did to the Mandarin, criminal. So I don't even want to talk about Iron Man 3 ever again. That's the most disappointing CBM. I think what happened was opposite Sam Raimi and Waldron, too much control. Marvel got their hands. Did not do that to WandaVision. The movie was full Sam Raimi. Wanda was typical Sam. Yeah, I mean, again, it's hard to tell. I can tell you what was full Sam Raimi when you watch it, right? The angles of the cameras, what he's doing, obviously the Campbell stuff. Hello, Sam Raimi. But the rest of it, I think there's times like again when they get through the multiverses and they land on the top of the roof, that's a reshoot. When they're on top of that roof, that is a reshoot. I know it. I know that's a reshoot, which makes me think something was really wrong because they had to add a scene that explained everything. And that's where by the way, that's where the film grinds to a halt. When they land on top of that building, they end up in the red, go, green, stop universe. That's where the film just really goes, right? When they get on top of that roof and he barfs. By the way, did you count how many times he said crap? How many times did Benedict Cumberbatch say crap? He says it at least 3. And don't forget, he said Scooby-Doo this crap in the other one. That's his crutch. That is Benedict Cumberbatch's thing. Go back and watch it. I need someone to put together a hot cut, whatever those are called, of all the different people saying the word. He'd literally have Benedict Cumberbatch from multiple films saying crap. It would probably be at least 10. There's 3 in this. Plus you have No Way Home. All right, let's okay, let's go down to, let's see if I can get someone else. We just got the same folks going back and forth here. Anyone new that wants to talk? It's all good. We're going to wrap this up soon. Trey, I got you here. Trey, what's up, man? Just got back from seeing Doctor Strange. Not a good film. Trey, you're with me. Not a great film. Tell me why, Trey. I want to know exactly why, though, because I agree with you. It's not a great film. I don't see no one here is saying it's a great film because I told you wouldn't. I said on Monday, you guys are not going to say this is a great film. There's no way you will. And you're like, guess who was right again? Me again. I've done it again. You know when you see a good film, it's not that hard. We see enough of these films. You know what's good and what's bad. This is just mediocre. Again with the Iron Man 3 slander. You know it. I will always have Iron Man 3 slander here on the Midnight Movie Talk. You kidding me? Always. It should be literally called that. Iron Man 3 Slander is the name of the new channel. That would be good. That's a good idea. Iron Man 3 is a movie I hate. Yes, AJ. Wonder Woman 84 level. Wonder Woman 84 is the worst CBM. Thank you, AJ. I've blocked that film, even though it's behind me. Do you see? I need to move. I'm going to put Wonder Woman 84. I'm going to move it up. I'm going to pull it off. I could do it right now, but I'm going to say, next time we go live Sunday night, Wonder Woman 84 is going to be right where Good Time is. So we can't ever get away from Wonder Woman 84 down here. By the way, these are, for those of you who don't know, if you're just joining me here tonight for the first time, these are FYC screeners for your consideration. That means someone at Warner Brothers thought that Wonder Woman 84 was an awards film. That's why they sent that to me. Yeah, okay. Good job, AJ. I wish I could have a gigantic explosion go on the screen and say, you nailed it. Iron Man 3 is not a good film at all. And Wonder Woman 84 is the worst CBM of all time. So you're putting it in the same category as that. I love you, AJ. You nailed it. Such a bad film. Iron Man 3 is, I judge you on your reaction to Iron Man 3. If you say that's a great film, then I know everything I need to know about you as far as films. You will rarely surprise me after you tell me that. If you say you love Iron Man 3 and then you love Good Time, no, there's no way. You can't love Iron Man 3 and love Good Time. You would say, I love Iron Man 3 and I hate Good Time. Or I love Iron Man 3 and I hate A Ghost Story. Like, that's more in line with me because it's like, no, you're wrong on all of those. So yeah, good job, AJ. Rocket. And then Benjamin, no, you're wrong. Iron Man 3 is not better than the Batman. There's no chance. I wish I could block people. Benjamin, you're blocked. Morbius is better than Dune. Wrong. You're just so, you're out of control tonight, Benjamin. That is so wrong. Everything you're saying. I think it's not a great film because everything is so goofy. It takes a while to get used to it. Brandon, are we talking about, I think we're talking about Iron Man 3. Are we on Iron Man 3 now? Okay, maybe we are. I don't know which one we're talking about, but I assume it's that. Brandon, let me know whichever one, but it could be this film. There's some goofy stuff in this film too. Doctor Strange 2. Iron Man 3 was good. That's it. I can't do any more of this stream. You guys have absolutely ruined it for me by telling me this is a good. I know you guys are joking. There's no way in hell that you would say that's a good film. There's no way. That's going to wrap it tonight. I can't do it anymore. You guys have worn me out. Midnight Movie Talk. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. We'll see you back here on Sunday for box office. Will it hit 200 million? That's the question. I'll see you on Sunday night, and we'll know the answer to that. Enjoy your weekend. See you Sunday night.